Hello there, welcome to the allotment again. I'm here for the allotment dram, of course, but before that it's been quite a grey sort of overcast afternoon and threatening to rain on and off, but hasn't really. Got a lot done, picked quite a lot again today actually. We've got another lovely bunch of this red chard here, absolutely fantastic. Had that vegetarian lasagna last night and it was great. But also lots of currants. We've got the red currants here, lots of them, and even more black currants actually, with probably the same amount at least on the bush again. It's been a magnificent year for the currants, which are just in that frame behind me there. Obviously the hot weather has really helped them because they've been absolutely fantastic. But of course I am here for the allotment dram, and today I've picked a whiskey. It's the most expensive whiskey that I've chosen to review here, and also a bit of a retro release from a couple of years ago. It's the Ardbeg 20 Something 22-year-old, and this is a really interesting whiskey because it was distilled in the mid-1990s, 1996, the spring of 1996 actually, and this is a time where Ardbeg was not really in its best health. You know, it was sort of limping along, literally operating for a few weeks every year, and being operated by staff from the other distilleries on Islay because it was really struggling. And of course it was a bit of a, sort of generally the 1980s and sort of early to mid 1990s, it was a bit of a struggle for Scotch whisky industry anyway, but and a lot of distilleries closed. But Ardbeg was sort of limping along, so to actually get any whisky from this sort of early to mid 90s period is very special indeed, because there's not much of it around. So this was released a couple of years ago in the summer of 2018, and it's been matured in the old bourbon barrels, and is released 46, let's have a look, 46.4%, and yeah, so it went down very well. It obviously got snapped up. It was bottled just for the Ardbeg Committee. You see the little red logo there, the Ardbeg Committee only bottling, but it got hoovered up, and I mean at the time it was probably about 450 pounds off the top of my head. But now if you were to find it, it'd certainly be £600 or £650, if you can even find it. But here it is. This is, you see a lovely golden yellow colour here. You might expect an older whiskey, 22 years old, to be a little bit darker than that, but this is the thing with good bourbon casks, you get this lovely golden yellow colour. And let's have a smell. So you've got lovely sort of fruity, there's almost like a tropical fruit note here. It's quite unusual, you certainly don't get it in younger Ardbegs. And then you've got not the obvious peat, big, heavy, feisty peat smoke that you associate with Ardbeg, particularly in the younger expressions, maybe the 10-year-old or the wee beastie or something like that. But yeah, it's just sort of under there. There's this sort of earthy, savoury quality sort of underneath. Let's have a taste. It's got a surprising freshness, for something that's 22 years old. Again, the cask can sometimes overpower a little bit. It's got this wonderful vibrancy and freshness. It's honey, golden syrup, maybe a bit of maple syrup or something like that. And then there's tropical fruits. There's something like sort of very overripe sort of mango or very overripe pineapple, or even maybe that the tropical fruit that you can buy in a tin with a little bit of that sugar syrup in there as well. Then underneath you've got this fabulous depth, and this is what happens with older smoky whiskies. You don't get this obvious peaty, punchy sort of quality that you do with the younger ones. So here it's turned into this more earthy, mossy, maybe a little bit ashy, charcoaly, sort of slightly sooty sort of feeling, and just much more underlying. It is more prominent on the palate than on the nose actually. Let's have another taste. Yeah, so complex, that. Absolutely wonderful whiskey, and this is, makes you sort of think that there's still some, why there wasn't more whiskey being produced at that time. But of course, nobody knows these things. They can't predict. The whiskey industry goes up and down like this, so couldn't predict. And of course, Ardbeg was closed or not closed, but running on this very sort of skeleton staff just for a few weeks every year. So to me, 1996 tastes a very good year. And then, of course, the current owners, Murray Hennessy, took over shortly after that, and they are the ones that really, sort of rebranded Ardbeg and got it to where it is today. So, absolutely lovely whiskey. Obviously, it's going to cost you a bit, but it really is worth it, especially to see if you've never had an old Islay or an old smoky peaty whiskey before, then it is different, and it'd be very interesting to find out. So even if you're at a whiskey show and they have it, you certainly spend a token or a bit of cash to have a go, because it's absolutely wonderful. But that's it from me. I'm about to walk home now. Obviously you're going to have a very nice dinner when I get home with these things that I've picked, and see you again soon. Cheers.